Hi guys, this is Max here, back again with hopefully another great political video, and today we're going to talk about an election in American history. In fact, we're going to talk about the first election ever held in these here United States. Back then, things went very different compared to how they go to nowadays. And we only had one candidate who ran, George Washington, my boy, my favorite president of all time. He ran unopposed and did not have any opponents. Now, this election is very interesting in many ways because it was held from December 15th, 1788 to January 10th, 1789, which was just about 3 years before the next presidential election. Not 4 years, three. And what we see here is that not all of the 13 original colonies actually participated in it. It were just 10 states. In fact, North Carolina and Rhode Island hadn't even joined the country yet officially, and New York missed the deadline to officially submit its electoral votes, which is the reason why it wasn't counted. However, the 69 electoral votes that were counted all went to George Washington, and therefore he became president. What we do forget, though, is that back then the electoral system worked quite different than how it does today. Because back then, you would not have the system that we have nowadays, where we elect the president and the vice president on two different ballots. Back then, the president would be the one who'd receive the most votes, and the vice president the one with the second most votes. Sounds funny, doesn't it? Yeah, it gets even crazier. During the first few elections in American history, people could actually vote for two people for president, and the top two candidates would be president and vice president. That actually ends up leading to a much bigger disaster later on during the election of 1800, when Thomas Jefferson receives the exact same amount of electoral votes as his vice presidential candidate, Aaron Burr. Only one elector was supposed to leave one of his votes blank and only vote for Jefferson, not Burr. However, he forgot to do so, and therefore Burr would have almost become president based on a technical error. That's what eventually caused people to completely rethink this system that had been written in the Constitution and introduce a new electoral system we have nowadays. Now, this might all sound a little bit confusing, and many of you might say that this is actually not really relevant for us today, but what I'd like to point out is that the United States, when it began, was a country vastly different from what it is nowadays. People only even had a bare speculative understanding of what would be on the other side of the Mississippi River. They would have no clue how the nation would look today. That people would just sit in a metal tube that we call a plane and all of a sudden beam from one side of the continent to the other. And even back then, constitutional amendments, such as the one that created the electoral system we have today, were passed in order to form a more perfect union. And I think we should continue with that system today. That we make changes and adjustments to what has been precedents. There is still a lot that needs to be done in order to improve upon this great nation. And I think one of those things we could do is that we try, and I mean really try, to make our electoral system more democratic and give power to the people who deserve it the most. Take it out of government cronies and give it into the people who are at the very bottom. That's what true democracy means. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a comment, give a thumbs up. Just like always, have a great day, and Max out.